Good evening from Los Angeles, California. I'm Dr. Ryan Ava. In order to understand the voter dynamics, we need to not forget to analyze the generational differences. When someone was born makes an enormous difference in the way they perceive life and experience it. We begin with the post-war cohort, 1928 to 1945. Believe it or not, Mitch McConnell and Joe Biden both belong to this generation. They were born on February 20th and November 20th, 1942, respectively. This generation had significant opportunities in jobs and education as the war ended and a post-war economic boom struck America. However, the growth in Cold War tensions, the potential for nuclear war, and other never-before-seen threats led to levels of discomfort and uncertainty throughout the entire generation. Members of this group value security, comfort, and familiar known activities and environments. The next generation comes down to the baby boomers. They were born between 1946 to 1954. Senator Elizabeth Warren was born in June of 1949 and belongs to this generation. For a long time, the baby boomers were defined as those born between 1945 and 1964. That would make the generation huge, 71 million to be precise, and encompasses people who were 20 years apart in age. It didn't compute to have those born in 1964 and compare them to those born in 1946. Life experiences were completely different. Attitudes, behaviors, and society were vastly different. In effect, all the elements that helped to define a cohort were violated by the broad span of years originally included in the concept of the baby boomers. The first boomer segment is bounded by the Kennedy and Martin Luther King assassinations, the civil rights movements, and the Vietnam War. Boomers 1 were in or protested the war. On the other hand, Boomers 2, or the Jones generation, missed the whole thing. Boomers 1 had good economic opportunities and were largely optimistic about the potential for America and their own lives, the Vietnam War notwithstanding. Boomers 2, they were born between 1955 and 1965. Senator Lindsey Graham belongs to this generation, having been born in 1955. This generation is a post-Watergate generation, lost much of its trust in government and optimistic views that the Boomers 1 maintained. Economic struggles, including the oil embargo of 1979, reinforced a sense of "I am out for me" and narcissism, and a focus on self-help and skepticism over the media and institutions is representative of attitudes of this cohort. While Boomers 1 had Vietnam, Boomers 2 had AIDS as part of their rites of passage. The youngest members of the Boomers 2 generations in fact did not have the benefits of the Boomers 1 class, as many of their best jobs, opportunities, housing, and etc. were taken by the larger and earlier group. Both Gen X and the Boomers 2s suffer from this long shadow cast by Boomers 1. Born between 1966 and 1976, Generation X, sometimes referred to as the lost generation. This was the generation of latchkey kids exposed to lots of daycare and divorce. Known as the generation with the lowest voting participation rate of any generation, Gen Xers were quoted by Newsweek as, quote, "the generation that dropped out without ever tuning on the news or tuning in the social issues around them," end of quote. Gen X is often characterized by high levels of skepticism, "what is it for me" attitude, and a reputation for some of the worst music to ever gain popularity. Gen Xers are arguably the best educated generation now, with 29% obtaining a bachelor's degree or higher. In fact, 6% higher than the previous cohort. And with that education and a growing maturity, they are starting to form families with a higher level of caution and pragmatism than their parents demonstrated. Concerns run high over avoiding broken homes, kids growing up without a parent, and around financial planning. Generation Y, eco-boomers or millennials, are the largest cohort since the baby boomers, and their high number reflects their births as that of their parent generation. Born between 1977 and 1994, millennials are known as incredibly sophisticated, technology-wise, immune to most traditional marketing and sales pitches, as they not only grew up with it all, they have seen it all and been exposed to it all since early childhood. Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, aka AOC, was born in 1988 and is a millennial. Gen Y members are much more racially and ethnically diverse, and they are much more segmented as an audience, aided by the rapid expansion of cable TV channels, satellite radios, the internet, e-zines, and etc. Gen Ys are less brand loyal, and the speed of the internet has led the cohort to be similarly flexible and changing in its fashion, style, consciousness, and where and how it is communicated with. Gen Y kids are often raised in dual income or single parent families and have been involved in most of the family decision makings and purchases, everything from groceries to new cars. 1 in 9 Gen Yers has a credit card co-signed by a parent. Now, with a bit of understanding of the differences among generations, you can see how each generation has been affected by the social issues around them, up until the Generation Y, or the millennials, who were blessed with the advancements in technology and the invention of the internet, making them the generation that shapes the future of America, a future that is more inclusive, diverse, sophisticated, socially, culturally, and sexually aware, environmentally conscious, and most importantly, more democratic. To support my work, please click the subscribe, the like button, and the notification bell so you wouldn't miss any of my new videos.